The Formula Vee, a car that I've really fallen in love with in the past 3 months. It's been a great season, but it's very much been an up and down season. And in this video, I'm going to try and explain why this car has not worked in iRacing, which is a damn shame. Hi, my name's Glenn and welcome to my channel. Feel free to check the links out down below for all my socials. I put videos up weekly of the current series that I'm racing, along with occasional videos about my simulator. So on April Fool's Day this year, we were all teased with this image. I had absolutely no idea what the Formula Vee was before this. I did a little digging and found out this car and this category have been around since the 60s. In real life, the components of the car are based solely around the Volkswagen Beetle, making the car accessible to the average man and a fantastic entry-level, grassroots level racing category. So I jumped on YouTube just to see what real life racing they had on there, and there is heaps. And what I saw was a lot of close, hard racing. People giving each other a lot of room, but also working together. I even saw bump drafting at a Road America race. This had me really excited. I thought this could be the perfect replacement for the Skip Barber, a fantastic category, but not very relevant when comparing to real life racing, as they don't race that car anymore. I thought this would be a great category for everyone to get down to the basics, to focus on racecraft, situational awareness, pack racing, all of the good stuff, but at a much lower speed. I was also hoping that what we learnt in this category would help progress my iRacing career and fine-tune all of the parts where I'm slow in faster categories, like the F3. And it was all looking good. For the first 2 weeks, there was really high participation, and in general, the racing was quite good. The downside at the time was only 3 out of 10 races were clean, and a lot of people were jumping into the car just to see what it was like, spinning out, crashing into a whole bunch of other cars, ruining their races, and just disconnecting. The race you see here in the background was a perfect example of that, but it's one of the races where I survived the lap 1 and 2 chaos. This race you're watching is the best race I've ever had in iRacing. All 5 cars showed the maximum amount of respect, racecraft, and patience. So what happened? What happened to this little car and all its potential slowly fading away? Is this just another new car that's come out in iRacing that has its honeymoon period and then just dies off? Participation went from really high and really respective to struggling to get a 2000 strength of field for the top split. Well, here I give what are my opinions as to what happened. First of all, there's money. See, in real life, the people who buy these cars have saved for these cars for a long time. It costs between $7,000 and $30,000 Australian to get into this car, which is fantastic in terms of cost of motor racing in general, but it's still a hell of a lot of money. This creates a culture within the category in real life where everyone on the field knows that if they make a mistake, they're going to have to first of all pay, and second of all fix any damage that they have to their car. And it creates a mutual respect on the track where everyone wants to race hard but race clean. This doesn't translate into sim racing. For $30 you can get a 3-month membership with iRacing. This is a free car and you can race on free tracks, and it totally eliminates that I better not scratch it mentality. It in fact encourages people to go hard or go home. A lot of people went hard, they crashed out, they left, and they never came back. And the people who were willing to stay with the category were constantly disappointed by these drop-ins. Next up is the incentives. There is no incentive to keep racing this car. This is a rookie class. The races are 12 minutes, fixed setup, and a maximum of 12 cars per split. At the end of the season, you don't even get participation dollars. From D class onwards, if you participate in 8 races of a season, 8 different weeks, you'll get 4 iRacing dollars to put towards your next purchase. But this is a rookie class, and you get nothing. A disincentive for this category is the fact that they're short races and they lead to a massive slump in your safety rating. It's really hard to get back. I lost heaps of safety rating in my first season and did an experiment where I did 10 races without competing but just aiming for a 0x race in the Formula Vee, and in total I gained about 0.03 per race. But if you have a race where you're tapped about a bit or you get taken out, you can lose as much as 0.60, and it's another reason why people will not come back to this car. Then there's the big boys. The big boys are the people you'll get to know at the start of a season. They'll do race after race, they'll have ultra high iRating, and they'll get you all excited about learning from people who are so fast and have learnt all of the tricks in the past, and hopefully you'll be able to pick them up too. The only problem was there was an official pro Formula Vee league, and the big boys pretty much just hung out there after the first few rounds. You had a couple come over with an 8,000 iRating, and it really helped their strength of field. But towards the end of the season, I had to study a lot of iRacing profiles to just grab a few extra championship points, as every other race for the week had an ultra low strength of field. If you watch the Pro League through Twitch or any other media, especially check out Emil Bernstoff. Really cool dude, very chatty and very fast. But when it comes to the standard season, for all the plebs like you and me, we were left with nothing. Then there was the endurance season. During the middle of the year in iRacing, there are so many endurance races. You have Spa, Le Mans, etc. This meant a huge chunk of iRacers spent a majority of their spare time before these races participating for these endurances and developing strategies and setups with their own teammates. It also meant that they weren't racing in any official series. It was like they'd gone completely off the radar. Finally, there was the COVID factor. In early 2020, sim racing exploded. There were more people getting into sim racing than we've ever seen before. Unprecedented levels. But in June 2021, the COVID factor is fading away. People are going back to their real lives. They've got things to do, they've got bills to pay, and they just don't have time for sim racing anymore. And they're not going to put time away, like myself, dedicated to sim racing. I believe that this car came out 12 months too late. If this car had have come out in June 2020 rather than 2021, it would have attracted a hell of a lot more people to not only this series, but iRacing itself. It would have pulled them in. Learning racecraft, learning all the grassroots things before you jump into a GT3 car is what iRacing is all about. So factoring all of that in, is there any way we can save this car? In my opinion, I think this car deserves to be on the main stage. The handling and characteristics of the car very much sort the men from the boys. So here's a couple of ideas that I've come up with. The MX-5 is the original rookie class car. There has always been the Advanced MX-5 Cup. This is a Class C championship, meaning you have to go to some lengths to earn the right to even compete in that championship. The races are longer and the setups are open. After looking at the Season 4 schedule for 2021, I understand it's a bit late. But if the Formula Vee had an advanced Formula Vee championship, which was Class C, with longer races and larger fields and open setups, then it might give people the incentive to stick around and go for those bragging rights of being on the top page of the overall results at the end of the season. We all want those bragging rights, and this season I just missed out. With almost 40,000 people competing in that Rookie Cup in its first season, I came 26 overall. got pipped at the post at the last minute. But to compete in a championship that is separated completely from a rookie category gives more bragging rights and makes you feel a little bit more proud to be up there with the big boys. Another idea, which has been a problem with iRacing for a couple of years now, is the light 4x contact. Once you get past lap 3 and you're competing with a pack, very light contact is inevitable. But to be punished so hard with safety rating, people have to change their driving style, which in turn can compromise their pace. So if iRacing was to ease up slightly on the 4x contact, or at least the not at fault contact, then people might hang around as they're not losing as much safety rating. My third idea would be for participation dollars, to make a rookie class be eligible for participation dollars. If you're competing in 8 out of 12 weeks, you're showing your commitment, and you should be rewarded for that in the same way you are other categories. Unfortunately, it's a bit late now, and I think iRacing has slipped a little when it comes to the momentum of this car, and there will be a lot of people, including myself, who won't return to this car, which is a damn shame. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Am I off the mark here? Is it inevitable that this was going to fail? Is it inevitable that after a honeymoon period, people will just go back to what they were doing? Leave a comment in the section down below, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to miss driving this car every day. It's quirky. It's got its own little character. It's a car where you have to adjust your driving style to the track. There are certain corners where if you attack too hard, the car will spin, and you really have to learn how to counter all of that. I've learned so much from this car. Those 3 out of 10 races that end up being fantastic, I'm going to miss racing against those guys as well. But there's just way too many negatives than there are positives to keep going. I think it's time to put a roof over my head, to spread my wings a little bit and step up my game. Hopefully I can use all of my new skills that I developed with this car in categories in the future. But thank you, Formula Vee. I still believe you are one of the best cars in iRacing. And if you haven't driven it yet, it's a free car, spend more than 5 minutes driving it, and you might fall in love with it too. This was a good race. By this stage of the season, I finally had a bit of confidence to go side by side, to have a crack, to get my elbows out. Bit of overtaking here and there. A good confidence in being side by side with certain people. It was a good one. And more importantly, trying out new things. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching. Sincerely appreciate everyone's support over the last few years. If you enjoy this content, let me know, because I'm enjoying making it. See you next time.